talk about life, where we talk about love, where we talk about our journeys through grace. It's her voice and her perspectives on perspectives. 26 and 65 chats for women.
So the question is, how do you know when your plate is full?
Just like a natural plate, when you start putting too many things, too many layers on the plate, the food starts mixing together and it doesn't have the same appeal, doesn't have the same unique taste. There's no boundaries on it. So when your plate is too full in life, the things that we're doing, responsibilities and stuff, when it's not enjoyable anymore, there's no anticipating, oh, okay, I'm going to be able to do this then, it's more like just too much.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. How do you?
Yes, a practical way. When we start just taking notice of when you're annoyed, when the little things, simple things, start to bother you. I think that's those little things should be a point of reference to say, you know what, let me take a moment to reassess. Let me take a moment to evaluate when those just little things, whether it's your son, your granddaughter, a phone call. Oh my God.
It's too much.
It's like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
Stop for a moment. Yeah.
Right. I get it. I like what Diana said when she was saying that when they all mesh together, then there's no like individuality, the flavors, and they mesh together. So you get this one heap of nothing. So you know that your plate is full when you are taking on too many things and those things start to run together. And one complete thing is not coming out of that. So that's a good word. I know that as women, we do tend to juggle many hats. And I hate using this analogy, but a clown, he wears all these hats. And if you're wearing too many hats, then that's going to drive you crazy and other people around you crazy. So what we can do, what would be our moral to that, not on our plate? What would be the moral of that?
Yeah. I heard an apostle say recently, he said, just because you're good at it doesn't mean that God authorized you to do it in that particular season. Because a lot of times we're very busy with good things. Oh, it's good for me to help you. Oh, it's good for me to help you. Oh, it's good for me to do this. It's all good. And it has us moving all over the place instead of being on the right track and actually making forward progress in the precepts, what God has called us to do. We're wearing ourselves out doing the good things, going from side to side, zigzagging, worn out, but we're not making forward progress, because in order to make forward progress, there's some good things we got to delegate to other people, put aside, and to continue to move forward in our unique calling, in our unique track. And I like to think of stuff, okay, is this something that only I could do, or is it something that somebody else could do? And a lot of times it's stuff that other people could do. And it would also help them in their development, because there's stepping stones that we've utilized to perfect our gifts and our talents and such. So, just being able to differentiate.
Right.
That's good. Because there should always be like things should come together in alignment and agreement. I think that's just one of the indicators as well, that this is a God thing.
Right.
It's a lot of, like Pastor Diana said, we can do a lot of good things. It's like, that's good. This is good. Oh, wow, that's great. But is it a God thing?
Right.
Is it something that God,
it's called you to? Yeah. I think of that word that you just said as a beeline. Let's take the beeline instead of meandering in those different ways. So in order for us to do that, I think that we have to ask, or this is another question, how do we enter in? How do we avail ourselves to allow, I guess, the Holy Spirit to lead and guide us? How do we enter in?
Have a desire to want to first enter in, to be guided, because sometimes we don't yield. I was looking up the word giving. to give. And there's 21 definitions of the verb form, the action form to give. But then if you look at it, somebody like the noun form means there's 2 definitions and it means to yield in our giving, like we're yielding unto God. And a lot of times we're trying to do all the other giving, the exterior giving. I'm going to give you 10 minutes of praise. I'm going to give you an hour of Bible reading. And we're instead of just yielding to his will, knowing that we're partners together, we're working together with God. So in everything we're doing, we're doing it in partnership with God, and he is our wisdom. He is our favor factor. He is our advancement. But a lot of times we're trying to give like it's an exterior. Okay, I'm going to give you the first hour of the day. We make it like too religious. Give you this, but really it's in the whole day, just yielding. And taking the opportunity, because sometimes things present and we don't look at it as an opportunity. We're rushing past it, but just in the yielding. Okay, well, what is God saying right now at this moment?
Yeah, that's so good. Because everything should be done as unto him. And I think sometimes we do forget that, our participation comes with the yielding. It comes with the surrendering. And without all the regimen as well, we tend to want to be regimented, allowing a time for this, only a time for this. So when we come in and we've already decided, you know what, we're going to do these 2 songs and, 15 minutes for praise, and then we're going to exhort here. And, it's like preparation is one thing.
Yeah.
We're supposed to prepare, but then we're supposed to surrender that preparation where we say, okay, God, I've done my part. Okay, now lead us, guide us, because he may want all worship. He may want all praise. And more importantly, just allowing Holy Spirit to lead. Let him lead. And so I think that is what we have to always be mindful of, because we don't want to box God out.
Exactly.
We come into this amazing time, and it's like we only have allotted this little corner for him. Why? Because we want to show off our preparation, all of the wonderful things behind the scenes that we have put together. And then we give him this little space. No, we don't ever want to do that.
Right.
It's religion.
Yes.
Being too religious, not wanting to color outside the lines, I hear the word staccato, just with your boots on, walking like you're regimented in an army. But I don't believe God wants us to be like that, because if we get into a place in which too busy, I want to stop and then give you praise, and allowing him to walk with us. And that's something that I really have to start availing myself to what he wants. And in order to do that, we have to listen. You can't be too busy that you're not hearing from God.
And I think too, what comes with that is, when we talk about keeping in step, the painted picture should not be, I have to stop. Wait, let me stop and worship, because I want to do this as unto God. There should be a synchronizing in step, keeping in step. It should not be, what is the word I'm looking for? It should not be mechanical.
Right.
It should not be any of that. We should be like so free. Holy Spirit teaches us how to keep in step, so, throughout the day, when you're working, you should be free. I mean, depending on, where you work, so on and so forth, there should be such a freedom to live this life keeping in step. It should not, I got to step away to do this and I got to step away to do that. We should be free to just live this life as unto Christ every single moment. It's not, okay, well, 12:15 every, I have to do this and I need to step away. And no, I believe that he's given us the freedom to do that. And it's really just us availing ourselves and choosing to offer unto him ourselves, not just our praise at appointed times and so on and so forth. It should be a lifestyle.
On the Mount of Transfiguration, when they said, okay, we see, let's make a monument to you. Let's make a monument to you. And then God said, no, this is my beloved son. Just hear him. Hear what he has to say. Don't get stuck building a religious tradition or religious monument. Just listen.
Yes, that's it. Yes. Absolutely.
being busy, being
Mhm.
too busy. My next question is, in lieu of the fact that the holidays are coming around, when you're in a place where, and I know you don't feel this way sometimes because you have your husband, your kids around, that what do the lonely do for Christmas? That type of thing. How do you how do you combat that? What is something that we could give to our single women and being in their singleness? What can we give to them? And I'm all ears because that's something that I guess I've had to deal with. And I think I'm okay being by myself, but I don't want to be in that place. So in our singleness, what do you give women that maybe feeling,
Yeah.
that are single?
I said before Pastor Diana goes because, like you said, she's not single and we're single. And just learning how to,
Navigate.
yeah, navigate and really lean and depend on the Lord during I guess, the in between. Think there's just an availing and a yielding during those times we're in the feelings of the
Right.
loneliness and maybe wanting to would be nice to go on a date or just all of those things that come with companionship and so on and so forth. Just reminding ourselves not to compromise
Okay.
for in those moments, not to compromise and to know that God is leading us and guiding us. We have to allow Him to lead us and to guide us and to know that it's the very uh, things in store for us that we're so desiring because that's something that He desires for us. He gives
Right.
us those desires, and just truly learn how to wait.
Right.
Continue to learn how to wait. The grace to just wait on God and
And
not
you have to have a
compromise.
grace to wait.
And then those moments, say, okay, Lord, when I'm having those moments of, just wanting to have some companionship and, have someone to go to the movies with and all those little things with it being the holiday season, help me to always be open to what to do in those moments, Lord. Just teach me. Don't want to make it don't want to make it difficult, so on and so forth. Sometimes it's simply, okay, Lord, I just want to be around someone.
Right.
I'd like to have someone to go to the movies with. And
Right.
and just really talking to him like you're his daughter.
Right.
And I think I'm learning to just do that, again. To say, okay, Lord. Oh, and he gives us instructions
Right.
in a way, truly wait on those instructions. Yeah, allow him to minister to us, in those
In that
moments.
waiting period.
No, our pastor always said that our words build our world. It's that we say build our world. And in Hebrews, it talks about that the framework is the word
The
of
words.
God. So what we say, it builds our world. So if we focus on what we don't have,
Yes.
and we're always talking about what we don't have, then that's the world that we're
Gotta
building.
have
Yeah,
Mhm.
a world of lack and anticipating and of hoping and
loneliness.
wishing. But then if we're using our words, and we always say at church, people gonna do what they want to do.
Right.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna
Yes.
do what they want to do. It doesn't matter. Sometimes they say, "Oh well, probably not gonna get a lot of participation because of these factors." No,
Right.
people do what they want to
wanna
do
do.
because
That is so true.
when you think about it, 20 years ago, I'll jump in a car, I'll go to the club in Orlando and
Come on.
Tampa, and have to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Come on, that's it.
People
That
do
is so
what they
good.
want to do.
Yes.
So whatever you want to do. So during the holiday season or at any time,
True.
you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for somebody else to come along and be
Right.
that. And there's so
Right.
many people that are looking for community and looking for fellowship during the holiday season. So when you get behind a mission or a vision, you see that that's maybe somebody else is doing or an
Yeah.
organization is doing, you're partnering with that.
Yes.
Because all the years work in Department of Juvenile Justice where people are away from their family. During the holidays and such, we had different outside organizations coming in. We as staff were working on Christmas Day. We're working on, Thanksgiving Day, and we're bringing the holiday to them, to the
Yes.
place. So,
Yeah.
your words build your world. So whatever you anticipate and you see with cycles of grief and stuff, people say, oh, well, when the holidays come, it's going to be so hard.
Yeah.
But it's a day just like, that was a day. Just like
Mhm.
that was
other
a day. 364 days a year
That's true, though.
was the day. So when you tell yourself, oh, it's going to be so hard on this day,
Right.
why don't you tell yourself that's going to be my day of Thanksgiving? That's when I'm going to go over, all the things that I'm thankful for that this person's life contributed to my life. It's what we say. Oh, I'm going to be down for 3 weeks this Christmas. And then you just told yourself that.
Right. So watching your words. Say so in essence, are you saying say what you want to see? Okay.
Yeah. And get involved. Like if you want to be around, some people don't mind being by themselves, but if your desire is to be in a sense of community and around other people, then you do that. And then think about the people that you are already connected to. Sometimes think about that one man I don't have. You got 30 other people that would love to see you.
That is so true. That is so true.
And then Pastor always says, he says, you're lonely now. He said, but now somebody comes and flips your life upside down. You're going to wish you were alone.
Love on you.
Yes.
That's a good word.
Yeah, you never know whose daddy might be out there when you get involved. It's like, you never know. You stay home, you're missing out. We were joking around the other day. We were doing a community service project. And this guy that worked at the facility, he came over and he was talking. He was the ladies looking at each other. So what's your daddy look like? We just said it to each other. We were joking around. Like, you never know who you're going to miss out on by being at a pity party.
That's right. That is so true. So you got to be mindful what you're focusing on. Oh, that is so good.
Wow.
That is so good. It's so good. That's good, though. I love it.
How do you get out of your own head?
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to get out of isolation, even if it's just walking around the store.
Exactly.
You just got to get out of it. Because the enemy will try to put us in a dark place of isolation outside. Just get a different view. We had one time a lady at the church, she ended up establishing a ministry because she had retired and she was home a lot more and she was more by herself. And she said, I'm just so sick of looking at these four walls all day. So, she was like, as a church, you want to do more. And I said, okay, well, we can't everything you're saying is a lot. So why don't we do, we could do something at the church and let's go see what organizations already exist to get into. And she ended up at a seniors for lunch program at Parks and Rec, which is like a gathering every day where they do different activities and such. Then from that, it birthed a seniors ministry at the church. And then now it's like, so now I just want to go home.
See how it evolved? Wow, that's wonderful, though. Yes, that's awesome.
It just came from her not being satisfied, and a lot of times we're not satisfied about stuff because the solution's on the inside of us. So that solution's in there beating us up on the inside, but because it wants to get out. It wants to, do something then that'll benefit other people who are in the same situation. And you could be a group of people and only one person's getting bothered by it. 9 people don't see it, but you're like, see that over there? Because the solution to fix it is on the inside.
Right. That's good.
Like, don't anybody see that the curtains have been mismatched in this church for 4 years? Well, if it's bothering you, hey, I'm free. Fix them up.
Right.
I love that. That is so true. That is so good.
Is that a part of maybe purpose? So that, okay.
Yeah, the solution, right? And then if the Bible talks about that we're preparing for generations that aren't even here yet. So problems that haven't even been introduced yet. There's solutions in the earth that we're to be practicing. When Noah was building a boat, it wasn't a problem yet.
Absolutely.
Right. He was building the solution before the problem came.
Right. Wow. In advance.
Only our God.
Right.
Only our God.
I love to hear you speak because you speak with so much revelation.
Yes.
And women can glean because I do.
Absolutely.
I glean from the words that you speak. So I truly appreciate that. I don't know. Just throw out a topic. What do you want to talk about?
Think of anything that comes to mind at the moment.
Okay, well, I'll throw out losing weight, not physical weight, but the things that we carry. You know, how do we lose weight? How do we shed those pounds, those things that I don't think God has called us to be weighed down, because in the word it says cast
Yeah,
your
cast your cares on
cares,
him because he cares for you.
right?
Yeah.
And then also it talks about the heavy burden. What is that scripture?
His yoke is easy and his burden is light.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're not designed to carry weight. So what is your perspective on that?
Well, just like Jesus, it said he didn't do many mighty miracles in the place where he was just common to the people because they weren't receptive to him. So he didn't stay there and fight against that. He went to where people received him, where he was able to work the works of his Father who sent him. So there's a specific place, we say that where our foot fits, that's the place where we will profit. And that's like the precepts. There's the precepts that are individualized for each and every one of us. There's the laws, the commandments of God, those are generalized. But then there's the precepts, like for our life. And David talks about a lot in Psalms 119. He uses that word precept over and over again. And when we keep his precept, when we find the place where our foot fits, we will profit and we will advance and we will continue to move forward in that. So just being able to identify that, and to say, I don't have to be received here because God, that's really pushing me somewhere else, into where I'm supposed to be. Sometimes things are difficult, but then God gives us the grace. If we're supposed to be there, we'll have the grace to be able to still thrive in that place, and then not just thrive, but continue to elevate because we're the solution to the problem that's in that circle or that circumstance and such. But if it's just a closed door after closed door after closed door, we'll let that guide us to the open door. I was doing a teaching one time at Celebration. We just like, how it was set up in the sanctuary. We could spend so much time just trying to claw at this wall to try to get through, or we could just go through that door and go around. A lot of times we're trying to do it our own way. We're trying to do it by our own strength. And it's like we're trying to claw through this wall, claw through the wall. Well, why don't you just go out the door and make a left? You'll be in the same spot. The path is already there.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. So practical. That's good.
Yeah. So with me, I guess my perspective on losing weight would be learn to be satisfied with who you are, not worrying about bringing people on, because like you were saying, there are some places that we're not supposed to fit in. So, I guess those closed doors, like you were saying, inevitably put you to the place where the open door is. To what point do we, you know, at first you try and don't succeed, try again. So at what point do you stop? Do you get to your frustration level, or you let God's grace hold you to a place, or and I'm not saying that you just have to give up, but knocking at a door and it's not open. And then finally, what is the release?
I think it kind of depends on the person because, you can be so relentless. Sometimes you can be so hard headed, stiff necked. I'm determined to do it this way.
Right.
And sometimes, people in general, you can be that way, just relentless. And I think sometimes just through exhaustion, sometimes you get to that point to where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then you're finally willing to surrender that thing, surrender your own will, and surrender your own way and say, okay, Lord, redirect me, show me what to do. And sometimes, unfortunately, people just in general, we can be that way. I'm going to do it my way. I mean, because that's one of the greatest things that we need to release is our will. We will to do it our way. No, we'll surrender our will and do it God's way. And so sometimes it's just coming to the end of ourselves, I believe, is what it will take.
Get another view, because if you think about like how a maze that those corn mazes and stuff, like a maze, the walls are higher than you, so you can't really see around them, but to navigate. But if you had another view, if you have an elevated view, you could see the way to navigate. Okay, if I do, I do have this block here, well, I could maybe go this way, or maybe I got to turn around and I got to go this other way. But when you have another view, an aerial view, you could see more. And God, he'll give you the peace to be and the grace to be able to do it. So if you're supposed to be continuing and pursuing, then you'll know, okay, I have the assurance, I continue and I pursue. But if you're supposed to go a different way, then you're released, from that way. And then you have the peace to go another way. Even in transitioning in jobs and stuff, sometimes people, they're just so faithful to one company, but if they would go somewhere else, then get paid double. They'd have more flexibility in their schedule and stuff, but they're so held just to one thing because they're scared or resisting the change that really is going to be the next, benefit. One of my people, she sent me a link one time, millionaires, how people get to be millionaires. And one of the tips was, don't stay in the same place too long, because people begin to undervalue you when you stay in the same place too long. So like thinking, in corporate America and such, and even in other areas of life, they're devaluing you. You take your same resume, you take your same experience to another company, they're going to value it more to bring you in, to welcome you in and stuff. So we can't be so in love with the struggle, like, in the plagues, the 10 plagues of Pharaoh. He was so in love with the struggle, he wouldn't just fully surrender. And it just kept bringing plague after plague after plague on the Egyptians. And people were saying, surely it's the finger of God. And then he'll be like, all right, you could go. And then the plague would relax. And he'll be like, never mind, you're not going anywhere. He was just in love with that cycle of struggle.
Wow.
And sometimes the truth has to sometimes it's the way I think that it's communicated. And sometimes, when it's the way it's packaged, maybe. When it's plain like that, why are you so in love with the struggle? The struggle.
Then why you always telling me about a struggle?
Sometimes it's the language. You know what I mean? When you're trying to get that point across, sometimes it's like, no. It's like sometimes the language is the very thing that can arrest, and cause people to receive that truth, that makes them free. And that's why you can't package things. You know what I mean? It's like, no, baby, sometimes the deliverance is in the language called truth. That's good, Pastor Diana. I love that.
Speaking of struggle, they, with women, struggle love. Have you heard of that?
Struggle love?
I think so. Being with a person and knowing that, because when we're groomed to, okay, don't find a man that has this and is already established.
Okay.
And at the age that we are, find a man this way, that. But what if we find a man, heart is good, but he's not where he needs to be? Do we risk that struggle love, or do we wait? What do you do?
Well, I think you have to also assure yourself, if things never changed, if he just remained like that, is this sustainable? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Yes.
Because that's what's being, presented. The man that is there right now is what's being presented. A lot of times we like to project, well, when he does this, this, and this, then he's going to be, if that man stays just like this, exactly how you met him, and there's no evolution between the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, are you going to be all right? Are there other attributes that are going to compensate that he didn't excel in just that area you're looking for, that area that you look for? Does he have other attributes that are going to ground you and that are going to keep the relationship? If he never goes to this level in this.
That's so good, Pastor Donna. That is so good. And I think in all things, it's just where I am. It is truly according to your faith be it unto you. And I say that because where I am with that is I just believe God is going to show me him in the spirit because I've asked him to. Lord, you reveal him to me and I to him. I just believe that. And all of those things, of course, are going to be what they should be. And that's just like my desire. Because it is a process, of course, to get into court and know someone and all those wonderful things. And I just think that when it's aligned with God, the desire of your heart, aligned with God, all of those wonderful things, I'm just believing that that part right there is going to be done right there. It's you. It's his eye.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, God has showed me you in the spirit. And I think that it may sound far-fetched to some. It may sound like it's too far out there, but I believe God can do it. God, it ain't no surprise to him I'm 60, okay? Because I like to say, I'm not 25. I don't have time to be fooling around with somebody. I'm trying to wait and see and just struggle love. And I thought he was this, and we're 3 years in. First of all, I ain't dating you for 3 years.
Okay.
Okay? So I do believe in all of that. Get into that place where you truly desire to be. It's going to be according to your faith. So if your faith level is, well, I know it's going to take some time. Okay.
Yeah, what you say?
I'm believing that framework again. I'm believing that, first of all, I believe that God can do it just like that. Okay. I just believe that. So I do believe, a lot of what we receive, take on, again, it's due to that framework and it's according to our faith. So yeah, I'm believing God that he's going to be everything he needs to be and do and be established, because God knows where I am. He knows where he is. And God don't want me to struggle. I'm telling that. He don't want me to struggle. So I don't believe he's going to bring that to me. So if I receive that, no, that's me. And I need to be able to be honest enough to see that and get out the way. So yeah. Yes, I know. I'm with you there. I'm with you. I know, we talk about it all the time. We just have to ask, Lord, just give me more of your grace to wait. God, I see this and I see that. Men are they're doing what they do. They're pursuing, they're doing this, they're doing that. God, help me to keep my focus on you. You give me a check in my spirit. If I don't get that check in my spirit, God, let me, no, shut it down. Lord, just don't let me compromise. Don't let me compromise.
And I don't want to compromise it, but I want somebody with a heart serve, a heart for God. I want him to be a God.
Yes. And it's like, like you're in the ministry, right? Someone trying to get your attention that's, I don't know. I don't want to say the club because the club is maybe a common one. I don't know.
Right.
Just say they're not in the ministry. And not saying that maybe he won't. I just don't believe God will put me with somebody not in the ministry. I just don't believe that he would do that. Well, and even if he did, he would have to reveal it to me.
So what does it mean that, but it says that the woman will sing fire, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this, about the sanctification, but if he is meant for you and he is not in the ministry, when you meet him, I mean, we've gotten those tools that we could lead him to that place.
But do you want a partner or a project?
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor Diane. Because we had this conversation before. And one of the first things, yes, thank you, Pastor Diane. Please speak on that. Because we've had that conversation. Tasha said, well, Renisa, what about, where it says the sanctified one will sanctify our house? And I said, it also says, don't be unequally yoked. And then the other thing is, the other comeback is I'm not 25.
Right.
I don't want a project.
I don't want a project. I do.
And then that doesn't mean I'm demeaning anyone or anything like that. But, we have to also be, practical in our approach. We have to be honest. I mean, do you want someone that is, okay, we'll just make it practical. If you're making $100,000 a year, you have to be honest. And not saying there's anything wrong with it. Okay, would you date someone who's only making $40,000? In a very practical sense, just be honest.
It just, you know what?
Because some people really have those issues. That's an issue with someone,
right? And I'm not superficial. Where's his heart? what does his family dynamic look like? Is he gonna bring to me? So I think if I was making 100, he was making 40,000. I think.
You think. See, that's what I'm saying.
Because
You have to be honest.
Okay, so that finance part of it, it's important, but if you really together you have 140,000.
Exactly.
Right.
So it just depends on what your priority is.
Right.
Priority is, well, that if it's a non-negotiable, well, I can't be with anybody that makes less money because I just want to respect them.
And that's why I said you have to be
If
honest
that's
with yourself,
your-
because for some people it is a non-negotiable.
If that's your non-negotiable, but that's not really the content of the man, because together you have 140,000.
Exactly.
So I mean, and if you have the same mindset about money, and you don't want him bringing 40,000 and then spending 60,000 on you guys 40,000 at the end. He got 100,000. I mean, you don't want
because there are people, because I've run across so many people that really, that's like truly where they are, and they cannot get beyond that point. And then they let a good man go, because they had already kind of set that.
Right.
And some people really have that issue. I mean, I don't have that issue, but there are people that really have that issue.
Right.
You let a good man go. And again, to me, it just goes back. The finality is he the one that God has for me?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
Yeah, because somebody could make 40,000, but they have a life of impact. Because a lot of careers that are impactful don't pay much.
Come on.
And then you can have somebody making 100,000 and they're not really impacting anybody. They're just so you have to look at the totality. But if that person personally would have, gripe against because of that, then they shouldn't do that. But if they see money the same, respect money the same way, then it's not, I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
if we don't to our own selves be true, you'll find yourself, maybe you have all of these wonderful things going on in your relationship, but deep down inside, you're beating yourself up going, actually it really does bother me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But then they come with pride too. Yeah, you have to look at what the root is too. There's a root to it.
Right.
So we have to be honest, even when we're making that request, unto our daddy God. I've seen that happen to so many people. Good man go. Because they just could not see themselves. It's like, because they had already set that standard. Oh no, he's going to make more than me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like you said, if he's making that, then together we make something. But oh my God, I had this one, I was talking to him on the phone, nice voice, and this was online dating. Oh my goodness. And the picture's like, oh, okay. Jeez, this man told me he had just gotten out of jail. I'm like, okay, all right. But it goes on. Just gotten out of jail. Just got his GED. Living in a house that his mom was funding for him.
Tell him log off. You shouldn't be on dating site. Yes, sir.
You need to get your life.
I give you some advice.
Oh my God. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, he shouldn't even be on a dating site.
Yeah, he should be on the employment site.
Yes.
Present yourself to an employer, not a woman.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Why?
What? I'm sorry, you're on the wrong side.
Wow. Oh my God. Why are you out there? Get yourself together first.
Try to talk with that nice voice on the phone.
Nice voice.
He had a nice voice.
Telemarketer.
Trying to use that voice, Pastor Diana. That's what he's trying to use. He's trying to use it. I'm going to capture somebody with this voice.
I know. I got
captivating.
I was like, are you?
People, you have to watch it, man. The enemy's cunning.
Oh my goodness. Are you sitting
Sitting somewhere 5 years from now. Girl. Somebody asked, well, what was it? It was his voice.
He just captivated me.
Nope.
And don't let him do it.
I got off that phone and I'm like,
good.
Are you kidding
Good
me?
for you.
Are you kidding me? And how do you talk to God? I had this one girl, I was telling her that I said, I was telling her, this is what I said to God. God, What's going on? You sent me this. She said, well, that's the problem, Tasha. You don't talk to God like that. How do we talk to God?
One of the greatest things I've learned being an intercessor is that, because me and another intercessor were talking about this one day, and being an intercessor, of course, we know what being an intercessor is. It's love on its knees for others, in essence.
Right.
Okay, and so interceding for others, and it's like you hear something, you get an SOS. An intercessor does what an intercessor does.
Right.
Okay, but because I think one of the questions was, why is it so hard to pray for yourself? And I've learned that, okay, when I go to my daddy God, when it's about me,
Right.
take that intercessor hat off, and I go to him as his daughter.
Right.
So I've learned to just very, very practically do that. I'm going as his daughter.
Right.
I'm going, I'm saying, okay, and I'm there, and I'm laying on his lap, and I'm letting the tears flow, and I'm talking to him as a daughter, not as an intercessor.
Right.
Not like I'm standing in the gap. I
Right.
go just as a daughter.
Right.
And I've just kind of learned how to do that.
Right. Because that's what I told her. I said, that's my daddy.
Mhm.
That's how I talked to my personal dad. Daddy, what are we doing? What's going on?
Absolutely.
But, and respectfully, I reverence God. I honor God. But, when you're in your prayer card, how do you talk to God?
That's what she exactly said. I mean, it's your conversation.
That's
with
it.
God. It's not somebody else to monitor. That's
Right.
your conversation. That's why they say in the secret place, so that nobody needs to get me go.
Yes, I don't. Yes. Yes.
Right.
What you're talking about.
That's my daddy. Yeah.
And then though, is God sending them? Help you to find them.
Yeah, I know, right?
So be like sitting at a restaurant, okay, you order and you're waiting for the food to come, and instead, you go in your purse and you get some old stale crackers, and then you say, well, why God am I eating these stale crackers here? Because you just dug them out first. Nothing else on its way. From Nigeria in California. And she was talking about how, because she came into ministry in the U.S. in California, and this is a big church, and she had made like a vow. She's like, God, and she talks to him like that, Daddy. She said, your daddy. She said, I'm not dating nobody in this church,
Right.
because she didn't want to be distracted.
Right.
She's in a leadership role.
Right.
So she always say, I'm not dating nobody at this church. So she said her mom would have a fit. Stephanie, how are you not going to date anybody at the church when the only place you are is at the church? How are you going to meet anybody and all this stuff? So she said that she just knew that she wasn't supposed to cross those boundaries, at the church for anybody. And, she was very at peace with it. Her mom was giving her a hard time, but she was just at peace with it. So she said that she ended up meeting her husband. She went to a baby shower, and her husband were the only guests there. I guess it was like several people were supposed to come to the baby shower, and people didn't show up for one reason or the other. So she was there supporting the baby shower. He was there supporting the baby shower, and that's how they met. So she didn't meet him at the church, even though she has this big position at this big church in California. Her mom was like, it's gonna take, how are you gonna get married? How are you gonna do this? But she said, no, that's not the the pool I'm gonna pull from. But God sent him. God could get him to you.
Right.
And that goes back to what you said. Like you know that you're gonna know with confirmation, which means everybody else, the partial fulfillment is not gonna lead you another way. Because then we get caught up. And now I'm in this relationship for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yes.
But it's not ending in marriage.
Right.
I'm over here and I'm in this relationship for 6 months. It's not ending in marriage. It's partial fulfillment. It's trying to get you to go out of your faith. Because people think, faith is easy. Just faith. Oh yeah, just by faith. No, faith is very difficult to stay the
Right.
course by
To
faith.
stay the
So
course.
a lot of times you want to, the enemy will present something to try to
Yes.
get you to detour, like this
Mhm.
is your faith to get
Mhm.
partial fulfillment. Okay, this guy has a nice voice, so I'm gonna go be
So
lured
good.
over
Come
here.
on.
And
Right.
it's a partial fulfillment. Meanwhile, if
Mhm.
you just stayed the route of faith, you would
Yeah.
get to the total fulfillment of what God said. So my pastor
Yes.
always says the things you tolerate will never change.
Mm.
Change
that's
doesn't
so
change
good.
until you change. Change doesn't change until you change, and the things you tolerate will never change. So you just have to believe that your husband is out there.
Right.
I mean, he's been born already.
Okay.
So Lord, has he not born yet or something?
That's what Sharon said.
He hasn't been born yet.
People are going through, all these different
Yes.
things and such. You have people who've lost spouses in death, but they
Yes.
desire to be married again,
Right.
but they're just so
Yeah.
overcome by grief, and they
Yes.
can't even move past that, but they have a desire to be married again.
Yeah.
So you pray for the heart, as he comes forth, that he's coming forth full, coming forth whole,
Yeah. Whole.
healthy, that he's coming forth with a mindset to move forward.
Yes.
Because even like my Pastor Kim, she passed away in 2019.
Right.
And Pastor Beckford, he was, alone for a lot of years. And then he was like, he didn't want to be alone anymore.
Right.
Right.
So he's like, but he had this companion that he built, everything with up until this
Right.
point.
Mm.
That's not here no more. But his desire was to not be alone. So
Right.
he said that he was driving in his car one day and he said to God, I can't be alone this time next year. Like it was going into the holidays, and he was like, I don't have a desire to be alone. I went through this time where I was alone. I went through all this pain and
Right.
healing and everything. I want to continue to go forward alone. So he ended up meeting this fantastic, fantastic woman. They didn't meet online. I don't know what's.
So there's hope.
Okay. They are there. Not online.
So, but she was in the same position. She lost her husband. She had been married, a long, long time since her youth. He got sick. She cared for him, just like Pastor Bedford. He had cared. So she had been alone for a few years, and now she
Right.
was at the point she wanted to move forward. So they both were coming out of the season of grief, and they both had a desire to move forward. You're married a long time. You're married a long time. Well, we're going to talk about our previous spouses, or are we going to move forward?
Right.
That's why at the wedding, when they said from this day forward, you really
Right.
have to just be this day forward, because you have a significant past with your spouse. You have a significant past, but you're not to discredit that.
Right.
But we're
Right.
both
Right.
still here. We don't
Right.
want to be alone. We want to productive together, and she
Yes.
came with like a great grace. Like pastor, he's a pastor, got a church, he can't pick from the con, just like Pastor Stephanie, he can't just pick from the congregation. He can't
Right.
do that,
Right.
right? So here comes her, and she just comes in with this grace, like this open heart of just
Wow.
love. Like nobody could even look at her sideways if they wanted to. She was so like full of love. She just like perfect,
Yeah.
for this time. Not to discredit anything Pastor Kim, she
Right.
built the foundation and the ministry, but now she's here for this time, and she's bringing the
Yes.
church into another season.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
And that's that. Wow. This is so good. That's how that continuation should be. That's
Let's
how it
go.
should be. Yes. Yes. Definitely. What a wonderful example. So at this point, it's blended.
Right.
Gonna make that a part of that prep one too.
Wow. So as we end, just want to, and I always want to leave our women something that they could use, and especially coming up on our holidays, just something that they can use, whatever that word is.
How do you see yourself? Let your words build your world moving forward. How do you see yourself, your desires, what you want, because there, you don't want to be, we never want to be in a position where we don't have the people that we could have had, like our family, like we isolated ourselves so much from our family, because especially seeing like when people get to closer to the end of life and they're less able to do things for themselves and they're counting on other people. It's a sad thing to see somebody that doesn't have any family, and a lot of times it's because they isolated themselves from their family. Maybe they were after their own ambitions, or they were feeding their own hurts and they weren't willing to reconcile. Even people that aren't even reconciled with their own children, that's a hard place to be, because there's so many people that they don't even have a relationship with their own grandchildren. No, so we want to make sure that we're taking the initiative, and it doesn't matter when, just do it.
Right.
Take the initiative. If it's been 5 minutes, if it's been 5 months, if it's been 5 years, just continue to take the initiative, because you want your loved ones. Your church is great, but it's your family that pulls the weight. Your family. When somebody cannot do anything for themselves, it's their family that ends up coming in and pulling the weight. So you want to make sure that you take those opportunities to be close with your family. You might have to put the work aside for a couple of days and just be with your family.
Just say, come to the complete end of yourself, meaning amazing journeys that we're on. We've taken on much, picked up much. We have these developed ideologies, and that weigh under us. It seems right. It feels right. I'm gonna do this. No more of this. I'm cutting that person off. You only do me wrong once, and I'm done. We just have all this stuff. And I would say, learn to come to the complete end of yourself, and like for real, invite God to just be God and to do a makeover. Because I love what Pastor Diana said about seeing things from a different vantage point. Sometimes we can't get to where we need to be because we're seeing from the vantage point of all this stuff.
Right.
And so I think just really surrendering and coming to the complete end of all this stuff. And it's only then, I believe, that we begin to see from that vantage point, and allow God to be who God, truly desires to be in our lives, that we come to that place of the total yielding and surrendering and beginning to just see differently. Yeah. They will act differently. They will expect differently.
Get in a place where you find out he says that we're the apple of his eye. And we have to really take those words and believe it. It says that we walk by faith and not by sight. And in seeing, we have to know that this is how you need to see yourself, how God sees you. And that would be my word. Get in a place, be by yourself. Just for a time, learn who you are and see yourself as God sees you. Whoop,